Chances are, if you've ever worked in the business world for even a little bit of time, you've probably worked for a dysfunctional team. Or maybe even worse, you've maybe have had the wonderful experience of leading a dysfunctional team. And that is no fun. In this video, I'm going to be covering The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team by Patrick Lencioni. It's a great book, and talking about how you can overcome them. So if you're a leader or if you're a part of a team, you might want to pay attention. Other than that, let's get rocking and rolling. So this is the book, The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team by Patrick Lencioni. He's an amazing guy. It's brilliant information. And I listened to the audiobook. It's actually a good listen, and they tell a story. They give examples, and you probably could relate to it just by being in a team. Thank you for your likes. Appreciate those. So I found out about this book while I was taking a course. It was actually being certified for managerial advisory. Really cool thing. Got an award for this past year at Scaling New Heights. Great accomplishment. Thank you very much. And while learning about the book and going through it, the challenge is if you have a dysfunctional team, you've got people working in silos. You have office politics. You have people kind of tuning out. You have a lot of gossip, a lot of unproductivity, stress. It's just a gamut of things that aren't really helping your team or business move forward. And if you don't address it, then it can only get worse. And eventually you can start losing team members, or your team can start sabotaging each other, and it can get out of control. So here's the pyramid, and it all starts with inattention to results. If you're not paying attention to what's happening in your business, you can run right into a wall, right? If you're not paying attention to the bottom line, if you're not paying attention to how you're satisfying customers, whatever it is, if you're not paying attention to the results, then your business could be going down the wrong direction. And a lot of times that happens, people aren't paying attention to the results because there's an avoidance of accountability. There's an avoidance of accountability. People aren't doing what they say they're going to do. They're not being held accountable. And that tends to happen because there's a lack of commitment. People haven't committed. They haven't bought into the ideas. They're just kind of doing the bare minimum, just like in not Office Space. Yes, Office Space. I was thinking of the Office Space. Just like in Office Space, if you've ever seen the movie, it's a really funny movie, by the way. He's doing the bare minimum just to keep the job, right? And that happens because people have a fear of conflict. They don't speak up. They may hear an idea coming and they don't say, hey, that's a bad idea. They don't communicate, hey, I'm really not into that, or that's not really my strong suit. So people aren't communicating, and that happens because there's an absence of trust. And now the way to build up the pyramid is really reverse engineering that, what we just went down, is you need to start with a foundation of trust. Your team needs to trust each other, which, by the way, if you haven't done so already, I trust you to support me in serving my mission to amplify the businesses around the world. So subscribe and likes are highly appreciated. So trust, right? Got to have the foundation of trust. And to do that, you got to start off by being human and really understanding each other. Understand people's perspectives, where they're coming from. Find the common ground. And a way to open that opportunity is to be vulnerable. Even as a leader, it shows strength if you're vulnerable and say, hey, I'm not perfect. I have some challenges that I'm working through, but we can work on these together and move forward as a team. So being human, being open, being transparent, building relationships, we can build trust. And on that foundation of trust is to spark healthy conflict. So fighting just for the sake of fighting is definitely not good. But if you have an idea and someone else has an idea and you're both working towards positive outcome, then it's good to have a little bit of conflict. It's good to have a little bit of debate. If someone brings up a bad idea, then it's healthy to debate that and have that conflict. So you want to demand debate. You don't want a bunch of yes men, whatever you'd like. That's a ticket down to Dumbsville, right? You want people that will challenge you, help you think in different perspectives, and challenge you to find better solutions that work for more people, right? So then you have the conflicts, and then you got to come to an agreement. You got to have clarity and closure and commit to the action that is going to be moved forward. So, for example, let's say a team's working together on achieving a goal, and they're bringing up different ideas, and they have a difference of opinion. Everyone can have the difference of opinion, and then at some point, once everyone's voice is heard, you've got to commit to moving one of those ideas forward. And as long as people have had the opportunity to share their perspective and they trust each other, they're more likely to say, well, I put my opinion out there. This time it didn't work. So I'm going to go for the opinion that we all agreed upon. We can't always have our way, right? We've had our voice heard, we trust each other, and we can commit to move that forward. And we've got to be really clear on the actions that we commit to move forward. Sometimes when I'm working with a team or a business, and they say, oh yeah, we're going to get this done. All right, first off, what is this? Let's be really clear on what we're agreeing to do and when we're agreeing to get it done. Because a lot of times people will say, hey, this is something we're going to do, but then that clarity, that lack of clarity, ends up causing an issue because it doesn't get done because it hasn't been clearly set. So then once it's been clearly set, we know what needs to be done specifically and when it's supposed to be done. We've got to have accountability. We got to hold people to their word. That's how we establish integrity. We do what we say we're going to do. That is how we establish integrity. We are our word. There's going to be people on the team that sometimes will drop the ball. And if they drop the ball, we've got to call them out and hold them accountable. And sometimes people hear the word accountable and they think it's going to be like some negative discipline thing. Like you're going to have to spank people. And we don't need to spank people. We don't need to punish people. We want to hold them accountable by having them have a breakthrough and keep their word. So if they said they were going to do something and they didn't do it, then we would say, I realize something else may have came up, but you committed to getting this done. So we need to work to getting it done, right? Hold people accountable. If you don't hold people accountable, anything slides, and that's how people get stuck in the mud. And then last but not least, we want to focus on the outcomes, not just being busy, not just doing stuff. We want to look at the results. We want to look at the outcomes and make sure that we're actually making progress on the most important things. You've probably seen my video, the 4 disciplines of execution, and how important it is to identify both the lead metrics and the lag metrics so that you can clearly know which are the actions that will influence and produce a result, as well as what are the results that we're trying to achieve. So we want to focus on the outcomes. So it may seem very basic, but I want you to think for a moment. I'd like you to put this in the comments. Based on your work experience, what do you recall being some of the biggest challenges or dysfunctions that you've experienced while working on a team? You don't have to give the details of the company or any people, but what have you experienced? What dysfunctions do you think are the most challenging? I know that I've seen them all, and I've seen the impact of all of them. And if you're looking to improve, building your team and aligning your team and strengthening it for peak performance, start by building the foundations of trust. I appreciate you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. If you have questions or would like to share in more detail, please put that in the comments. I appreciate you and being the amplifier you are. To show your support, take a moment to amplify this message by sharing it online. To connect with me or gain more business growth insights, visit www.growthamplifiers.com. Thank you for your support.